The Gospel of Luke, chapter 14. Picture this. You're invited to a grand feast, one filled with the finest food and the most joyous company. But when you arrive, you find that some of the guests have chosen not to show up. Others take the best seats for themselves, trying to elevate their status. And at that moment, you're reminded that this feast is more than just a meal. It's a powerful metaphor for the choices we make in life and the invitation we all receive to live a life of purpose, humility, and commitment. Today we dive into the Gospel of Luke chapter 14, where Jesus uses this banquet as a backdrop to teach us about living with intention, making meaningful choices, and putting others before ourselves. Let's discover how these lessons can transform the way we see ourselves and our role in the world around us. Humility at the feast. Jesus observes how guests at a dinner scramble for the most prestigious seats, each one wanting to be recognized and honored above others. In response, he advises them to choose the lowest seat at the table, teaching that it's better to be invited up to a higher place than to be asked to move down in front of everyone. Now, this scene isn't just about table manners, no. It's a powerful lesson in humility. Jesus challenging our human tendency to seek validation and recognition. We live in a world that often rewards self-promotion and puts a spotlight on individual achievement. But Jesus flips the script, telling us that true greatness is found in serving others without seeking applause. Humility is not thinking less of ourselves. It's thinking of ourselves less. It's about seeing the value in others and lifting them up, knowing that our worth isn't tied to our status, but to our character and the love we show those around us. The parable of the great banquet. Now, in this parable, a man prepares a grand feast and sends out invitations to many people. But when the time comes for the feast, the invited guests make excuses. One has bought a field, another has purchased oxen, and yet another has just gotten married. The host then extends his invitation to the poor, the crippled, the blind, and the lame, filling his banquet with those who were not originally on the guest list. Now think about this, actually. This story illustrates God's open invitation to all humanity, a call to join in His grace, love, and abundant life. The excuses made by the original guests reflect how we often let the distractions of our lives, our work, possessions, or personal plans, keep us from accepting what is truly important. We might get caught up in the busyness of life and miss out on the greater purpose that awaits us. The lesson here is about priorities. God's invitation to be part of something greater is extended to everyone, but it's up to us to accept it wholeheartedly, without excuses or delays. When we put aside our distractions, we open our hearts to the beauty of living a life that is aligned with our highest values. The cost of discipleship. Jesus speaks to the crowd following him and lays down a tough truth. If anyone wants to follow him, they must be willing to put him above even their closest relationships, their own desires, and their possessions. He uses the example of someone building a tower who must first sit down and calculate the cost to see if they have enough resources to finish it, and a king who must consider whether he can win a war before engaging in battle. Now, this message is about commitment and sacrifice. Jesus is inviting us to take a deeper look at what it truly means to be his disciple. It's not just about saying, I believe. It's about living in a way that puts faith into action, even when it costs us something. You know, being a follower of Christ means prioritizing our spiritual journey, even when it challenges us to let go of things that hold us back. It means being ready to make difficult decisions and to put our beliefs into practice, especially when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable. This is not about abandoning our families or neglecting our responsibilities, but about making sure that our actions, values, and life choices are centered around something greater than ourselves. Salt of the earth. So, at the end of this chapter, Jesus closes with a reminder about the importance of staying true to who we are called to be. He likens his followers to salt, a valuable resource that preserves and flavors food. However, if salt loses its flavor, it loses its usefulness and is thrown away. Now, think about that. Salt represents the influence and purpose we bring to the world. When we stay true to our calling and live with integrity, we add meaning, or flavor, and positivity to the lives of others. But if we lose our passion, if we forget our purpose, we risk becoming bland and uninspiring. Jesus is urging us to hold on to our values, to remain committed to making a difference, and to be a force for good in our communities. The challenge here is to maintain our uniqueness and authenticity, to be a light in the darkness, and to never underestimate the impact of the life lived with intention. So, as we walk away today, let's carry these lessons from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 14, in our hearts. Let's remember that life is like a great banquet, filled with opportunities to make a difference, to grow, and to connect with others in meaningful ways. The question is not whether we are invited to this feast. It's whether we will choose to show up. Will we put aside our pride and take the humble seat? Will we accept the invitation without excuses, placing our focus on what truly matters? Will we live our lives with the kind of commitment and purpose that makes us the salt of the earth, enhancing the world around us? Those are great questions. And this chapter challenges us to live beyond ourselves, to serve others without seeking recognition, and to be mindful of the choices we make. Now, as you move forward, think about this. What are the excuses holding you back from your own feast of life? How can you humbly serve those around you today? And what will you do to ensure that your life never loses its flavor? Let these questions guide you towards a life of deeper meaning, greater purpose, and boundless impact. Remember, the invitation to greatness is always there. It always has been. It's just up to us to accept it and make the most of every moment. Thank you, friends. I hope you have a beautiful day. Tomorrow I'll be back with the Gospel of Luke, chapter 15. Take care. See you then.